all I'm going to get. But anyway, I want to say good afternoon to all of the sons and daughters of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, spiritually and physically in Memphis. And the reason I don't have my regular crew with me because I'm at a family reunion because I'm from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. So I went out there, so we came back here. So this is my wife, my daughter, and my grandchildren. Okay? And my oldest granddaughter is a senior at the University of Arkansas down there.
Right.
So that's where I was born and raised. But I didn't come here to talk about me. You know, sisters and brothers, Israeli God have become a household name in a whole lot of countries. In fact, through the grace of God, we are putting this gospel into all of the earth. We get emails, we get phone calls, we get mail from places that I didn't even know existed. Mm-hmm. But then it let me know that we are doing what God called Israel to do, and that is to preach the gospel to all the nations of the earth and all the sons of Adam. But in doing so, sisters and brothers, we have a lot of things that we have to correct, even today. You know, we're looking at this as Lord's Sabbath day here. Relatively speaking, all over the world, you have just a few people that's holding service. You say you have the Seventh-day Adventists, they call themselves, which is started by Gentiles, and you have the Jewish people, which are Edomites, that say that they are us. But relatively speaking, even with these groups, it is a small number. Because somewhere along the line, somebody has told the world that the Sabbath day belonged to the Jewish people and Christianity belongs to, the Gentiles or the rest of the people. I want you to understand something, sisters and brothers. Everything belonged to Israel because God gave it to us.
That's right.
And when people ask me, well, you say you're a Hebrew Israelite, then why you call on the name of a Christ? I said, because I'm a Christian also. How can you be a Hebrew and a Christian? I said, don't you know that the original Christians are Israelites? Who do you think Peter and the 12 apostles were?
Israelites.
Who do you think Paul was?
Israelite.
The Gentiles did not bring Christ to Israel. Israel took Christ to the Gentiles and the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. Most people don't understand when the word Christian, when the people was called Christian first in Antioch, there was not one non-Israelite in the church, not one. And that just lets you know how the world is when people tell me, well, you mean you're an Israelite and you're a Christian? I said, who's better than me? I am the original Christian. I taught everybody else how. But since Israel went into captivity in 7 AD when the Roman general Titus went there and destroyed Jerusalem down to the ground, the word of God has not fallen into the hand of the Gentiles. It has fallen on the ground. Mm-hmm. And what we call Christianity nowadays have been served up by the Gentiles. Now, I don't hold their feet to the fire for that because you cannot serve something that you don't have. However, it is time for it to be corrected, and you be surprised that the main thing that God wants to do has been reversed. Because God wants to come to this earth, sisters and brothers. This way he wants to set the kingdom up. But who wants to go to heaven? That's why I put together this lesson by the grace of God. All the people that want to follow Satan. And when you tell people that, they get offended. So the Lord calls me to put together this thing, a title of this lesson called The Rapture, a desire of Satan, not God. That's right. The rapture, a desire of Satan and not God. See, things happen all the time and don't nobody pay no attention to it. Everything that is modern day, I won't say modern day Christianity, I say everything that the Roman Christianity, which is put forward by the Gentile, is about heaven. And I'll tell people all the time, you cannot show me, I don't ask you to put the burden on you to show me twice. You can't show me one time where God said that he was going to take man to heaven. Not one time, sister and brother. But the Lord wants to live here. And we're going to show this. But we're going to show you, sisters and brothers, that you have ministers out here. And if you get some understanding, then you will know who minister they are. After this lesson, whoever hear this and understand this, and you will, because this word is simple, sister and brother. That's why the Bible talks about the simplicity of Christ. Once you hear this, then anybody that you hear teaching, then you will know whose minister is standing before you. Because you need to know that. Now we're going to start this in St. John the 8th chapter. In St. John the 8th chapter, here, sisters and brothers, Jesus was talking to Israelites. And this is one of the strangest things that I always wondered about. How is it that Israel could be separated from Jesus, being that Jesus never talked to nobody but Israel? He talked to one woman one time, a Canaanite woman, and he called her a dog. And then the other group of Gentiles he talked to was the Samaritans. Even the woman said, how is that you being a Jew talking to me, being that y'all don't have nothing to do with Samaritans? He talked to the Samaritans. He talked to this woman when he cast that devil out of her daughter. And he didn't talk to nobody else. He even left a directive, sisters and brothers. I'm just telling you how people don't read. He told Peter and them, go not in the way of the Gentiles. Neither go to a city in Samaria, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
That's right.
And when the Lord got ready to bring the first Gentile into the church under the new covenant, he had to prepare Peter to accept him. That's why he had the sheet coming down with all kind of four-footed beasts in it. And told him to rise, Peter, slay and eat. People have taken that, the Gentiles taken that, repolished it, and given it to the world and said that's when he killed the dietary law. No, that's when the Lord was showing Peter not to call no man common or unclean. Mm-hmm. But what we have now, Gentile doctrine. But then we had the same one that was operating among Israel, and we're going to show you who he is. We're going to start this at St. John the 8th chapter, and we're going to start reading at verse 30. Because Jesus talked to those that listened to him. Verse 30, go ahead.
As he spake these words, many believed on him.
Then now see, he was teaching them, and he said, and many believed on him, but not everybody. Go ahead.
Then said Jesus to those Jews which believed on him, if ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free.
Now you've heard that statement all the time, haven't you? You should know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. But nobody ever gave you the handle to that. He said, if you continue in my word, then are you my disciple. In other words, my follower indeed. Then you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. If you don't continue in his word, you're not going to know anything.
That's right.
It is the truth that's going to free you, sisters and brothers, even from eternal death. But go ahead and read.
They answered him, we be Abraham's seed, and were never in bondage to any man.
Now they want to know we are Abraham's seed. We weren't in bondage to any man. They didn't even have the good sense to know that they was in bondage to the Romans even at that day, sisters and brothers. They was in bondage. They had to get permission to do everything. So they said, we were never in bondage to no man. Go ahead and read.
He saith, how sayest thou, ye shall be made free?
So they want to know. But we're not concerned in that. We want to concern who these people are following. Skip down to verse 7. And look what Jesus said to these people. Go ahead.
I know that ye are Abraham's seed.
He said, I know you're Abraham's seed, because he's the one that dealt with Abraham, believe it or not. Go ahead and read.
But ye seek to kill me, because my word hath no place in you.
He said, you are trying to kill me because you don't have no place for my word. I know you're Abraham's seed. So I'm going to tell you who your real father is. Skip down to verse 41 and go ahead.
Ye do the deeds of your father. Then said they to him, we be not born of fornication. We have one Father, even God.
Go ahead.
Jesus answered unto them, If God were your father, ye would love me. For I proceeded forth and came from God. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me.
He said, look, if God was your father, then you'd love me. Because he's the one that sent me. And anybody that is the children of God, they recognize Jesus, sisters and brothers. He said, but look, because he sent me. Go ahead and read.
Why do ye not understand my speech? Even because ye cannot hear my word.
Now, sometimes you can speak the same language, sisters and brothers, but people don't understand you. A lot of times when they say speaking in tongues, it's not always when you're speaking another language. Sometimes you're speaking in tongues when you're speaking the same language because don't nobody hear you. And there's a reason why somebody don't hear you. Let's read that. Go ahead and read.
Ye are of your father the devil.
That is the reason. You can talk, you can read and do everything else, but people don't change. They want to revert back to where they come from. Why? Because they are their father, the devil. Like a lot of people come to the Israel of God, you come in, then all of a sudden they want to, well, brother, I don't think it should go this way, and I don't think it should go that way. I said, I got something I want to ask you. Why didn't you stay where you were? You didn't like where you were, so you're going to bring what you had that you didn't like and give it to me so you can go somewhere else and say, I didn't like it there. But the reason was, sister and brother, because they didn't hear my speech, hadn't gotten straight yet. Like Jesus said, you are of your father, the devil. Go ahead and read.
And the lust of your father ye will do.
And the lust of your father ye will do. He is making it real plain. Finish that.
He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth.
Go ahead.
Because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it.
He said, look, you are your father, the devil. He is a murderer from the beginning. He murdered the whole creation, sisters and brothers. He heard God when he told Adam, of every tree of the garden you can eat, except for the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. You should not eat of that tree, because the day that you eat of that tree, that is the day you're going to die. First thing he did, he eased up on Eve and said, can you eat of every tree? She said, no. We may eat of every tree, but we can't eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and we can't touch it lest we die. He said, surely you won't die. God knows that the day that you eat of that tree, you will be as God, to know the difference of good and evil. That interested the woman. And I'm pretty sure I can almost hear now, tell me more. He slew the whole creation, sister and brother. He was a murderer and he was a liar. He murdered and then he lied to the woman, said she won't die. I hear that every time I go to somebody's funeral. The minister come up and tell the same lie. Oh, that's not Miss Jones there. That is her shell. She have made her homecoming. She is looking down on heaven, from heaven, smiling. Mm-hmm. But the Lord said, you're going to die. Dead people can't smile, sister and brother. But he said, but you of your father the devil, and the lust of your devil you will do. But the whole world has been deceived because they're looking for the devil to come in a way, well, I'm the devil, I'm going to pick your pocket, I'm going to sell dope to your sons and your daughters, I'm going to prostitute your daughter, I'm going to do some subversive thing. I'm going to tell you, we're going to find out Satan's biggest weapon today, his biggest weapon. We're going to start with a couple of Israelite kings. That's after these kings. We're going to start with Jehoshaphat. We're going to go to 2 Corinthians, the 18th chapter. It's the 2 Chronicles, rather. 2 Chronicles, the 18th chapter. These are two kings of Israel. Because, after Solomon died, because Solomon built pagan temples to every one of them pagan wives he had, the Lord split Israel, and Israel is still separated. He split them into two kingdoms. And we're going to read about something that transpired during the time of these two kings here in 2 Chronicles. Because here's something that you need to know. Then we're going to examine this thing. We're going to examine it and see if the condition still exists. Because people say, well, you know, we live in a new age now. Things have changed now. I said, is that right? Yeah. I said, do women still have the babies or have it changed to men having the babies? So women still having the babies. I said, when that changed, then everything else will follow suit. God called the end from the beginning. Whatever thing he put in motion, it is here today. He do not change, sisters and brothers. Sure. When you're omnipotent and you know what's going to happen in the end because you're going to make it happen, there is no reason for you to change. People like to use the word change. We're going to start at verse 1. 2 Chronicles, the 18th chapter, and verse 1. Read it.
Now Jehoshaphat had riches and honor in abundance, and joined affinity with Ahab.
Now you have two kings here. Jehoshaphat, he was rich, he had everything because he was a righteous king, and the Lord loved him and blessed everything that he did. But this Ahab was a wicked king. He is the husband of this woman Jezebel, which the whole world have painted as something else.
Right.
When you talk Jezebel, you think about a streetwalker, a woman of the night, a prostitute. Satan painted that picture. Jezebel is the woman that stands right here and usurps the authority of a man. Female preachers. That's what Jezebel was. She was so hard against it until she killed 400 of God's prophets. And God returned the thing and had Elijah go and kill 400 of hers. But the whole thing, sisters and brothers, this man here allowed this woman to do anything she wants. Anything. Skip down to verse 3 and go ahead.
And Ahab, king of Israel, said unto Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, Wilt thou go with me to Ramoth Gilead? And he answered him, I am as thou art, and my people as thy people, and we will be with thee in the war.
See, they had a fight with the Syrian sisters and brothers, and they won, and they took away Ramoth Gilead from Ahab because he was a king over the 10 tribes. And Jehoshaphat was a king over 2. Well, actually 3. He was king over 9 because the Levites went back to Judah. So you had the kingdom of Judah, and then you had the kingdom of Israel in Samaria. So the king of Israel asked the king of Judah, will you go to war with us? He said, my king, my horses, my soldiers are your soldiers. Yeah, I go with you. However, I have a small request. Go ahead and read.
Verse 4. And Jehoshaphat said unto the king of Israel, Inquire, I pray thee, at the word of the Lord today.
Now that was his big secret. That's why this man, this king, this righteous king was so prosperous. He did nothing without going to the Lord first. Shall I do this?
Right.
So he said, will you inquire of the Lord? Look what Ahab did. Go ahead and read.
Therefore the king of Israel gathered together of prophets 400 men, and said unto them, Shall we go to Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall I forbear? And they said, Go up, for God would deliver it into the king's hand.
Well, boy, that's some real strong testimony, ain't it? You asked them, shall we go up? And you got 400 prophets. Can you imagine 400 prophets? That's more than what we have in the room here now. Shall we go up? They said, go up, for you're going to prosper. God is going to deliver them into your hand. These are 400 preachers, sisters and brothers. You understand? Yep. That was their profession. Go ahead and read.
But Jehoshaphat said, Is there not here a prophet of the Lord besides, that we might inquire of him? And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, There is yet one man by whom we may inquire of the Lord, but I hate him, for he never prophesied good unto me, but always evil. The same is Micaiah, the son of Imlah.
Ain't that something? Look, do you have just one more? Jehoshaphat was kind of like Leary. These 400 prophets, they was too sure of themselves. Do you just have one more prophet from the Lord? Ahab said, yeah, I have one, it's Imlah. But I don't like this guy. I hate this guy because he don't ever say nothing good about me. That might have been because he never did nothing good. But he sent for him. What verse are we?
In verse 7. And Jehoshaphat said, Let not the king say so.
Go ahead.
Verse 8. And the king of Israel called for one of his officers and said, fetch quickly Micaiah, the son of Imlah.
He said, now I want you to go and get Micaiah, the son of Imlah. And this guy went and got him. Skip down to verse 12, and let's look what transpired when he went and got him. Go ahead and read.
And the messenger that went to call Micaiah spake to him, saying, behold, the words of the prophets declare good to the king with one assent. Let thy word, therefore, I pray thee, be like one of theirs, and speak thou good.
Ain't that something? Now all of the prophets, all of them are speaking good to the king. Now don't you come in here messing it up, man. Don't buck the status quo. You go and you do the same thing. Same thing. This guy told him, look, whatever the Lord showed me, that's what I'm going to do. But then he went along with him for a minute. Let me show you what happened when he went along with him for a minute. Skip down to verse 14. Verse 14 and go ahead.
And when he was come to the king said unto him, Micaiah, shall we go to Ramoth Gilead to battle? Or shall I forbear? And he said, go ye up and prosper, and they shall be delivered into your hand.
He said, go ahead on up, and they're going to be delivered. But what happened? Go ahead and read.
And the king said to him, how many times shall I adjure thee that thou shalt say nothing but the truth to me in the name of the Lord?
How many times will I command you before you speak nothing but the truth to me in the name of the Lord? Then this man knew that this was a righteous prophet. And he knew if this man told him that, and he know he have never done nothing good, that this man was lying to him. So he said, how many times will I have to command you before you tell me nothing but the truth that the Lord said? And let me know that this man knew that he was lying. Also let me know that he knew them 400 prophet was lying too.
That's right.
But go ahead and read. Read right through it. Go ahead.
16. Then said he, I did see all Israel scattered upon the mountains, as sheep that have no shepherd.
Go ahead.
And the Lord said, these have no master. Let them return, therefore, every man to his house in peace.
So if you have no master, that means that Ahab is dead, isn't it? See what he said? Go ahead and read.
And the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, did I not tell thee that they would not prophesy good unto me, but evil? Again he said, therefore hear the word of the Lord.
He said, look, okay then, man. Well, I'm going to give you the word of the Lord. This is what happened. Go ahead and read.
I saw the Lord sitting upon his throne, and all the host of heaven standing on his right hand and on his left. And the Lord said, who shall entice Ahab, king of Israel, that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead?
Now, fall means die, sister and brother. He said, I saw the Lord, and I saw all the hosts of heaven in front of him. And he asked the question, who shall go up and persuade Ahab to go up to Ramoth Gilead and get killed? Go ahead and read.
And one spake, saying after this manner, and another saying after that manner.
Go ahead.
Then there came out a spirit, and stood before the Lord, and said, I will entice him. And the Lord said unto him, wherewith?
Now listen now, this spirit, we know that this I know this is Satan. I ain't got all the time to show you everything, but he said, I'll entice them. He asked him, how will you entice them? He asked the question. Then what did he say? Go ahead.
And he said, I will go out and be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets.
He said, I will be a lying spirit. Did the Lord tell him to lie?
No.
He asked him, how you going to persuade him? He said, I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. What did the Lord say to him? Go ahead.
And the Lord said, thou shalt entice him, and thou shalt also prevail.
He said, you're going to entice him, you're going to persuade him, you're going to be successful. Go ahead and read.
Go out and do even so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of these thy prophets, and the Lord hath spoken evil against thee.
Now, can you imagine this man, one man standing here, telling the king of Israel that the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of these 400 prophets standing here? People will tell you, well, see, majority rules. I tell people that God is the majority.
That's right.
He said he put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these prophets. Read another verse here. I'm going to show you what happened when you tell the truth. Go ahead and read.
23. Then Zedekiah, the son of Kenaniah, came near and smote Micaiah upon the cheek, and said, which way went the Spirit of the Lord from me to speak unto thee?
Ain't that something? Then he come and hit the man up in the jaw. How did this lying spirit, when did it leave me and come to you? But that's the only recourse, sister and brother. So now, the Lord put this lying spirit in the mouth of these prophets, but he didn't put it by the hand, his hand, he did it by the father of lies, Satan the devil. See, this is what people don't understand. Satan is a spirit too. He's a ministering spirit. He would not obey God and do the right thing, but God said, I created you to serve, so I'm going to make you do something. So I tell you what I do. You're going to be my baseball bat. When my servants start acting crazy, first I'm going to go over there and let you knock him down. If he get up and shake it off and do right, then I ain't going to let you touch him no more. But if he insists on being evil, I'm going to let you knock him down until you kill him. But people don't understand that because you've been taught by the wrong people. So Satan told the Lord he would persuade Ahab. And Satan told the Lord how I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And the Lord said, you're going to prevail, because he knew Ahab didn't want to deal with the truth. So when people don't want to deal with the truth, they like lies. They go with it. Won't listen to it. Because every one of those prophets belong to Satan. Because like Jesus said, you are of your father the devil, and of the will of your father you will do. So whatever Satan wants to do, that's what his minister is going to bring and put on the table. Yeah. You think you don't have any more ministers? Let me educate you. Let's go into 2 Corinthians, the 11th chapter. 2 Corinthians, the 11th chapter. See, sisters and brothers, I have been told a lot of times, brother, you know, you crude, you harsh, and sometimes you be a little softer. How do you be soft when you tell the truth that's contrary to every lie you ever heard? How do I soften that? The only way I can really soften it, don't say it at all.
That's right.
Somebody walking here naked and everybody, oh, she sure is, her attire is becoming. I said, but she naked. Well, you ain't supposed to say that. Was she naked? I'm calling it the way it is. So the word of God has to be the way it is, sisters and brothers. Because the first thing to know how to protect yourself is to know from what direction that the ones that are assaulting you is coming from.
That's right.
And this is what people don't understand. If you knew the thief was coming, then you prepare for him and he wouldn't destroy your house. That's what Jesus told you that. So 2 Corinthians, the 11th chapter, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Because Paul have got some people, and apparently somebody had turned them around, and he was trying to recover them. So this is his conversation. Verse 1, go ahead.
Would to God ye could bear with me a little in my folly, and indeed bear with me.
Go ahead.
For I am jealous over you with godly jealousy. For I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Christ. But I fear, lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your minds should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Christ.
He said, look, he said, I'm jealous for you with a godly jealous. I have espoused you to one husband, which is Jesus. Now, unless you are careful, somebody's going to come and corrupt you and deceive you as Satan deceived Eve. He said, that's possible. Go ahead and read.
For if he that cometh preacheth another Jesus, whom we have not preached,
go ahead.
Or if ye receive another spirit, which ye have not received, or another gospel, which ye have not accepted,
go ahead.
Ye might well bear with him.
And you say, how can somebody preach another Jesus? Do it every Sunday, sisters and brothers. Do it every Sunday.
Yes, sir.
They've taken you away from the simplicity of Christ. And it is simple. The word of God is simple. Man have complicated. What's another Jesus? The one that's going to take you to heaven. The Jesus of this Bible, we're going to show you where he's going to take you. What's another Jesus? The one that was in the Garden of Eden. He was the one that called the seventh day, this day, the Sabbath, and sanctified it before there was one man created. Mm-hmm. But the other Jesus said, tomorrow is the Christian Sabbath day. Why? Because Christ rose on Sunday. I say, read that to me. This is what the Lord is talking about, sister and brother. Another Jesus. But how did he get him to you? Skip down to verse 13. Verse 13. And go ahead.
For such are false apostles.
So the people that bring you another Jesus are false apostles. Go ahead and read.
Deceitful workers. Transforming themselves into the apostles of Christ.
They're deceitful workers, and they're coming to you as the apostles of Christ. They ain't never coming to you, well, you know, I'm Satan. I am a servant of Satan. Listen to me. They're coming to you. Come to the Lord. Christ called me to bring you this message. Such are they. They are apostles of Satan, transforming themselves into apostles of light. That's true. But no marvel. Go ahead and read.
And no marvel. For Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light.
So he is coming to you as an angel of light. He ain't coming to you as Satan the destroyer. He's not coming to you as a Abaddon or Apollyon, the destroyer. He's coming to you as a Savior. So why shouldn't his ministers come to you as the same way? They come to you. Come to the Lord. And they give you a message that the Lord didn't give you. We're going to point some of it out, but go ahead and read.
Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works.
So if Satan going to come to you as a minister of righteousness, what big thing if his ministers are going to come to you as the ministers of righteousness? But how do you know? All you got to do is read the book, sister and brother. Satan have ministers, and he have a whole lot of them. But you will never know that they are ministers of Satan because you don't have the understanding you should have. Satan is not only have him a cadre of ministers, he is actually in charge of this world. Lord, let him have it. Started with the Gentiles. We're going to show you something that you never even laid heart, even though you read it. Let's go into Revelation, the 12th chapter. Because Satan got ministers out here, but also Satan got governments, and we're going to put our finger on some of them. See, there ain't no such thing as you can't find out who's who. The Lord has laid everything on the table. You have to take the initiative to pick the book up and find out about it. Revelation, the 12th chapter. This Revelation 12th chapter start out, this talking about Israel. Physically first, and those that have become Israel spiritually. Because you have some people, the Lord tell you, if you keep his laws and his statutes, honor his Sabbath day, then you also will be made a part of his household. You got to do the same thing if you're a non-Israelite. If you are an Israelite, you still have to do the same thing or you're going to get cut off. It's all about righteousness. The Lord chose the people to teach the other people. He didn't choose them because they're more righteous than anybody else. We're proving that. But still, the Lord calling is without repenting. That's what it really means. He calls them some priests and you're going to do this. Yep. He showed that when Jonah tried to run out of it. You saw what happened to him, don't you? Mm-hmm. Verse 1. Go ahead.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
Now this woman represents the nation of Israel, sister and brother. On your own, you can go and read the 37th chapter of Genesis, and it'll tell you about Joseph's dream. Joseph had a dream, and he said that the sun and the moon and 11 stars made obeisances unto me, and otherwise they bow down to me. Then Jacob listened to him and rebuked him and said, shall I, your mother and your brethren, bow down to you. This represents Israel. Go ahead and read. So this is who this woman is. Go ahead and read.
Verse 2. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered.
Go ahead.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon,
Go ahead.
having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head.
Go ahead.
And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And that dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born.
Now look, sisters and brothers. Now you saw this woman was pregnant with a man child. And the dragon, which is Satan the devil, showed up. But look what he looked at, sisters and brothers. I'm going to do a little, I know this blackboard is kind of low, but still I'm going to put it here. This dragon had 7 heads, and 10 horns. Satan don't look like that, sisters and brothers. Satan is a cherub angel. He have 4 faces, 6 wings, calf feet, and eyes all over his body. Why is it that he showed up with 7 heads and 10 horns? Because he is represented by the nations that he ruled. Give you a good idea. Let's go. But what verse was that?
Into verse 4.
Go ahead and finish that.
And she brought forth a man child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and to his throne.
Now everybody know this is Jesus, but nobody paid no attention to what John wrote here. She brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations with the rod of iron, not rapture you off to heaven. When he said rule with a rod of iron, that letting you know when he come and set this kingdom upon this earth, he going to rule for 1,000 years, sisters and brothers, and he ain't going to brook no mess. You're going to do what you're told or you going to die. Yeah. It's all that simple. But people don't care about that kind of God. But he said, look, this dragon had 7 heads and 10 horns. Now let's go and look at some nations here and see where they come from. Let's go into the 13th chapter of Revelation. And we're going to start at verse 1. Revelation 13th chapter and verse 1. 13 and 1. Okay, read it.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea,
Go ahead.
having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy.
Sisters and brothers, you just saw the resurrection of the Holy Roman Empire, which we know now as the European Economic Community. But he had 7 heads and 10 horns. What did this represent? We're going to look at it. Because, sisters and brothers, the first Gentile to rule the whole world was Nebuchadnezzar. That was Babylon. That was one head. The second was the Medo-Persian Empire. The third one was the Greek Empire, but what happened was, all you got to do is read your book, history books. It was led by Alexander the Great, the first king of Greece. Alexander the Great died a young man, and he had no blood successor that was strong enough to run the Greek Empire, so his generals got to fighting, and they split the empire up into 4 heads. So all this represents the Greek Empire. Now, after the Greek Empire came the Roman Empire, which represented 1 head. So what we have, 7 heads. Now, the Roman Empire was to rise and fall 10 times, sisters and brothers. And we just put a little head up here. Because when it came back into existence, it came back as the European Economic Community. There are 10 nations. You can go on the internet and find out who they are. They even call them the 10. So what does this tell me? That when Satan showed up, he did not show up in the flesh as an angel before the woman. He showed up in the appearance of one of the nations. At this time, it was the Roman Empire. The Romans tried to kill Jesus. So that let me know, when he said showed up with 7 heads and 10 horns, that Satan is the one that's ruling the Gentiles. You know why? From Babylon to Medo-Persia to Greece to Rome and the resurrection of the Roman Empire, which is the European Economic Community. You know them as the EU. All are under the persuasion of Satan, sisters and brothers. He is the one that ran these Gentile nations. It is to him that they all listen, and we don't understand. We simply don't understand. The first one, because the first thing you do is the Lord got to remove the priest. Let me show you who removed Judah the first time. Let's go into Jeremiah, the 4th chapter. Jeremiah chapter 4. Because, you know, people have gotten the wrong concept of going to church, sisters and brothers. They think you're supposed to go to church and feel real good, jump up and down, get sweaty, and go home and be bubbly. No, you come here to learn how this word so you can save yourself and save other people. That's why you're here. In order to save anybody from anything, you have to know something yourself. You're here to learn, sisters and brothers. And this is not so hard if you clear your head and just believe what you read on the line instead of in between the lines. Jeremiah 4, we're going to start reading at verse 5. This is when the Lord told Israel, you better, Judah, straighten your act up. If you don't, I'm going to remove you. I'm going to bring the Gentiles on you. That's the way the Lord operates. He take down people with people. Let's start at verse 5. Go ahead.
Declare ye in Judah, and publish in Jerusalem, and say, blow ye the trumpet in the land.
Go ahead.
Cry, gather together, and say, assemble yourselves, and let us go into the defense cities. Set up the standard toward Zion. Retire, stay not, for I will bring evil from the north and a great destruction.
Look, the Lord is letting you know. Since you won't do what I said, then go into the defense cities. Defend yourself. Get ready for it, because I am going to bring evil from the north. But the Lord is going to do that. Who do you think controls everything? The Lord do evil. He created it, and he orchestrated it. Who did he say going to bring evil from the north? Read that again.
I will bring evil from the north and a great destruction. The lion is come up from his thicket.
So the lion, who is that? The Babylonian Empire. You go to 7th chapter, Daniel's on your own, it'll tell you the lion has come up from his thickets. Go ahead and read.
And the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way.
And the destroyer of the Gentile is on his way. Because Nebuchadnezzar, sisters and brothers, was a Gentile. And he is the first one that ruled this whole world. He is. Nobody else before him. Go ahead.
He is gone forth from his place to make thy land desolate, and thy cities shall be laid waste without an inhabitant.
So he's coming to destroy all of your cities. And Nebuchadnezzar, he did it 3 times, but eventually he took all of Judah out and scattered them in the other nations. But the Lord had Judah to come back, sisters and brothers, on the Greek Empire, because Jesus had to have somebody where to come. Ezra and Nehemiah came back during the Persian Empire, rather. Came back during the Persian Empire. They rebuilt the temple. So Jesus had come back. Jesus came back. He did what he had to do, what the prophets say he had to do. Then once it was over with, then the Lord completed the destruction of Jerusalem, and here we are. Let's go and look at the last ones that dealt with us. Let's go into Luke, the 21st chapter. Because I want to let you know this is a Gentile thing, sisters and brothers. And all that you haven't has been taught by the Gentile. And believe me, because of the understanding that the Lord has given me, I don't really hold their feet to the fire. Only time I hold their feet to the fire is when we show them right and they still insist on holding on to that lie. Now you're guilty. As long as you don't know what theft is, you're innocent. But when somebody tell you, you still stealing, but you still innocent. But when somebody tell you what theft is and you continue to steal, now you are guilty.
That's right.
And this is the whole thing in a nutshell, sister and brother. Knowledge. That defines the direction that the Lord is going to take you in. Now here, Jesus had already, when he was walking up on Jerusalem, he started to weep. Because he knew that Jerusalem was going to be destroyed. He said, if only you knew what you were supposed to do, things would be well for you. But now you don't know, hey, your city's going to be destroyed. And now he's giving you a warning for the people that was in Jerusalem, a sign when it's getting ready to be destroyed so they can leave. See, the Lord always tell you what destruction is, and he give you a way out. Like he has given us a way out. During the Great Tribulation, there's a way out. But right here, he's giving Israel, he's letting them know now, it's going to be destroyed. So I'm going to tell you something. When you see this happening, this is when the destruction is going to take place. We're going to start at verse 20. Luke, the 21st chapter, and we're going to start reading at verse 20. 21 and 20. Go ahead.
And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
Go ahead.
And let them which are in the midst of it depart out.
So when you see the Jerusalem surrounded by armies, see, the Romans had a funny thing. Romans would knock off a nation and they would incorporate their army. And they became a part of the Roman Empire. He said, so when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, know that the destruction thereof is nigh. So this is what I want you to do. Go ahead and read.
And let not them that are in the countries enter thereunto.
He said, I want you to get out of the city, and if you're in the country, don't come back. Go ahead and read.
For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled.
See, the Lord had already said that he was going to destroy Jerusalem down to the ground. He let them come back a little bit after Nebuchadnezzar's day, but he still had to complete that prophecy because it was written. And these are the days that it was written about. Go ahead and read.
But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land.
Go ahead.
And wrath upon this people.
Going to be great distress and wrath upon this people. I don't know if you've gone through the lesson, sisters and brothers, to show about how that the Lord took Jerusalem down by Titus. It was ugly. I mean, real ugly. Starvation. Bodies thrown over the fence. Stacked bodies like planks. But the ones that survived, he scattered them all over the creation. So he said, look, these are days of vengeance. These are bad days. These are days that have been written of. For this people, and great distress is going to come upon this people. Talking about Jerusalem. I ain't talking about the world now. Jerusalem. Go ahead and read.
24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
They're going to fall by the edge of the sword. Go ahead.
And shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
And they shall fall by the sword and led away captive into all nations. We are everywhere. And Jerusalem is going to be trodden down by the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Sisters and brothers, the Gentiles' time is not fulfilled. First thing you might ask, well, who is the Gentile? The sons of Japheth. Gentiles taught you that if you ain't a Jew, you're a Gentile. Levi ain't a Jew. Naphtali is not a Jew. Dan is not a Jew. Reuben is not. These are the sons of Jacob. Only Jew among the 12 tribes of Judah was Judah. Of 12 tribes of Israel was Judah. That's where the name comes from. Right. If you come out of the tribe of Dan, you're a Danite. If you come out of the tribe of Benjamin, you're a Benjamite. If you come out of the tribe of Levi, you're a Levite. If you come out of the tribe of Judah, you are a Jew. So they let you know if you ain't a Jew, don't have nothing to do with a Gentile. On your own, you can go to Genesis, the 10th chapter, and read it. So the hours of Gentiles came out of Japhet. Who are Japhet's children? What we call European and white people. He said, but it is their time now. Israel is going to be led captive in all nations until the time of the Gentile be fulfilled. Who is running it, sisters and brothers?
Gentiles.
Gentiles. Like in the old days, some of the brothers were rooting for Russia. Yeah, I want Russia to do something to the United States. I said, brother, you in the United States. What make you think that Russia, well, this Gentile, well, Russia's a Gentile too. So who's running it? The Gentile. Who's handling the World Bank? Gentile. Who had the biggest weapons and the biggest army? The Gentile. Who can stop any conflict at any time? The Gentile. Can you imagine anybody could stand against the United States and Russia and Europe? Arabs couldn't stand against it. You think Africa could stand against them? Africa can barely feed themselves. How you going to come against the Gentile? They run it. And until the Gentiles is here, sisters and brothers, the Gentiles run it, and they run it all, even what we call religion. Because the Gentile represents Satan's organization. Brother Boy, that's a hard and ugly thing, but it's the truth. Let me go and show you what Paul said concerning the Gentile. Let's go into 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter. Because, sisters and brothers, we see people are trying to, well, you know, you shouldn't say things, and the people, well, this is not against people. It's not against a nationality, it's not against a race, it's not against color. It is the word of God, and everybody can get on this train that's going to salvation. But if you don't know how or what you have to do to get on it, then I'm not doing you no good by giving you beautiful stories about your mama smiling down from you and on you from heaven. I'm not helping you. Because whatever you get out of it is going to be temporary. But the lake of fire is forever. 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter, and this is what Paul was saying. Now this is Paul. He is the apostle to the Gentile. You know, it's strange. Everybody reads Paul's writing, but they never read this part of the writing. Why is it? Because the Gentiles don't want you to know what Paul said by him, so he just skip over that. You go to his school, his seminaries. You go to his schools of theology. Never teach you this stuff. That's why my brother said, well, you know, I got a doctorate in Catholicism. I got a doctrine in Lutheran. I have a doctrine in the Church of God in Christ. I graduated. I said, look here, you tell me about all these people and all of them having different doctrines. So whose degree is valid? I got a doctrine too. Out of this book that's in your lap.
That's right.
Read it. Because if you don't, you're going to go to one of them schools and they're going to teach you a doctrine that don't come from here. Let me show you why I say this. That's why I say they don't teach you this. We're going to start at verse 20. 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter. 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter and verse 20. Go ahead.
But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils.
Did I put this in here? This is Paul, the apostle to the Gentiles. He is the guy that God sent to teach all the Gentiles. The only reason he let Peter teach Cornelius is because he left the keys of the kingdom, so Peter had to open the door. But Paul walked in there and he taught every Gentile, sister and brother. So if Paul said the Gentiles worship devils, then what is it that the Gentiles worship?
Devils.
Devils. Go ahead and read.
And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils. Ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. Ye cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and of the table of devils.
Now look, didn't Adam and Eve find that out? The Lord said you can eat of every tree in the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat. But even the tree of life was in the garden. But once they ate of the wrong tree, then the Lord said, man has become as one of us to know good and evil. lest he put forth his hand and eat of the tree of life and live forever, they put him out of the garden. You know why? Because he ate of Satan's table, so now it's too late to eat of God's table. You got to decide whose table you're going to put your feet on, the sister and brother. So he said, Gentile worship devil. And we just seen this, sister and brother. That's why Satan showed up in front of Israel and Jesus, looking like the Gentile nation, from Nebuchadnezzar down to the European Economic Community, with 7 heads and 10 horns. And we're going to show you a few things that this guy here, nothing ever happened that he don't put forth. Let's go show you where the Lord was sending a message to the prophet Daniel, and Satan stopped him. Let's see what he called him. Let's go in Daniel's the 10th chapter. Daniel's the 10th chapter. You see, sisters and brothers, when I read stuff like, well, you know, Gentiles worship devil, people get highly up, angry at me. I was looking for about 4 or 5 of y'all to get up and walk. I'm surprised it didn't happen. Because usually sometimes I lose 4, 5, 10 sometimes. Get up and give me one of them and hit the door. Wait a minute. But we read this together. You notice how I wait until everybody find this? Because I want you to read this. This is on you. So if you reject that, you're not rejecting me. You're rejecting the word that the Lord had put forward by the hands of his apostles and his prophets. You ain't rejected me. When you get up and walk out, you're not walking out on me. You're walking out on the one in whose hand your very breath is in.
That's right.
You do what you want. Verse 16. Daniel's 10 and verse 16. Because Daniel wanted to know something, he was praying for it. And verse 6, verse 1, brother, I'm sorry. Daniel's 10 and 1. And he had something he wanted to know about, and he prayed about it. Let's look how long this man prayed and fasted. Verse 1, go ahead.
In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel, whose name was called Belshazzar, and the thing was true, but the time appointed was long. And he understood the thing and had understanding of the vision.
Now look, he wanted to know something. He had pretty good understanding of it, but he's still something, apparently he looked. But he said, this vision said, for this to come to place, the time was long. But go ahead and read.
In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks. I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine into my mouth. Neither did I anoint myself at all, till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. So
this man fasted for 3 weeks. He didn't anoint himself. He ate no bread. He didn't drink no water. And people ask me, Brother Boy, well, you know, I did some fasting last week. I said, you did? Yeah. I didn't eat no food, but I drank water. I said, you didn't fast. You just didn't eat. When you fast, you don't consume anything. And he was fasting for 3 full weeks.